Hello, it's Darkid2 here, and welcome to my video about my experience about one of the most popular genres of all time in video games, MMORPGs. So, the year is the early 2010s, and my friend showed me the cinematic for World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King. And when I saw the cinematic, I was pretty impressed. Not really interested in the game since I was more into Mario, Sonic and Kingdom Hearts back then, but still impressed. Then my friend told me about the lore of World of Warcraft. He didn't understand it that well since he didn't play it but watched his big brother play it, and told me that the Lich King was a king that wasn't in the game before but just got alive somehow and now you can go and kill him. And I don't know if that's true, but to me that sounded really cool. So I got interested in World of Warcraft, but we asked my friend's brother if we could create a character and try it, and he said sure. I remember creating my character as a werewolf at some point. I'm actually not sure if it's the same time frame. I might have been human, but my earliest memory of playing World of Warcraft was being a werewolf, so I'm just gonna tell that story. The werewolf race is called Awoken in World of Warcraft, I think, I'm not sure. And then I played to level 10, and when my friend asked me what I thought, I just looked at him and said it was okay-ish. It didn't do the trick for me. I guess it was because I didn't really understand what was going on, lore-wise. Remember, English is not my first language, and I could somewhat read what the NPC said, but I wouldn't understand it. I would understand what the quest wanted me to do, but I wouldn't understand why, like, in the world I was in, I wouldn't understand why I would have to do it, because there was so much text, I guess, and I didn't want to read that back then. So for me, it was just a game about killing monsters, go from A to B, and with tap targeting combat, which I wasn't used to back then, because I was mainly playing Kingdom Hearts 2. It was quite boring to me, to be honest, to not have that active combat where I was just spamming one button and dodging and shit. And it didn't help at all that I wasn't interested in the story or the world because, you know, I didn't read anything, so I didn't know what was going on, so that also just added to why I've kind of found World of Warcraft boring. And I'm pretty confident in saying that was my first MMO experience, except for this one GameCube game I had that I couldn't play because I didn't have an infinite cable connected to it. But I remember it was an online GameCube game that I had a big ass map, like it was a fold out map you could fold out. If anyone perhaps maybe know what I'm talking about, please mention it in the comment cause I can legit not find it anywhere on the internet. Fast forward to 2011, Legion Ninjago just came out. This section really sounds like it doesn't fit in this video, but trust me, it does. Legion Ninjago just came out and I was obsessed with it. I didn't really like Lego cause my parents kinda tried to force me to build it just to get another hobby than playing video games at some point, but I wasn't really a fan. But Lego Ninjago was so cool to me. It had ninjas, Benjutsu, and a really cool story. Back then there was a new episode every week and I will always watch it. I loved it so much that I ended up getting the entire pilot season on DVD, which was the first season that I saw. And now you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with MMOs? You're just fanboying about Lego Ninjago. First of all, yes, please let me have this moment. I haven't had friends in a long time who like Lego Ninjago as much as I do. And second of all, my interest in Lego Ninjago led me to my second MMORPG game, Lego Universe. If you played Lego Universe, you know how much of a banger game that was. I only found it because it's just got the Lego Ninjago universe in it, but it has been existing for some time now apparently, so I downloaded it and I was pretty addicted to it. I didn't remember what the combat was like at all, but I remember exploring the Ninjago world and just being in awe. And I also remember playing some racing minigame with people at some point, and also exploring with pirates. My memory is pretty vague, but I just know that I really enjoyed that game. But not because of the combat or anything, just because it had Lego Ninjago, and not gonna lie, that world in that game was pretty cool to look at. Even as I was addicted to it, I didn't play it that much since again. English wasn't my first language, so I was just wandering around, which by time got a bit boring, so I once again left the MMORPG genre due to boredom. Fast forward to mid-2010s, so 2015 and 2016-ish, I kinda tried to get more into the MMO genre once again. But that was because I got the impression of that it was really popular and it had this one mechanic where you could own something really rare or you could be that one person to own something really ultra rare, like you will be the only person to have that thing. And that sounded really cool and challenging, so I started looking around for MMOs. I again avoided World of Warcraft because of my previous experience, and it was subscription based, which I didn't want to bother my parents with. And that's how I eventually found Blade and Soul, but back then it didn't have an English release I believe, because I had to do so much work just to get that game. I downloaded the Korean version. I had a Korean account actually, and then I had to download a patch to get the game in English. I did all that, which took me an entire day, just to drop it, like 2 days after playing it. I cannot remember why I did it. I think it was because of the tap targeting combat, because once again I was very used to the Kingdom Hearts 2 active combat. I just found it boring that I had to press once and then wait on my ability to get off cooldown with like 1 to 3 seconds and then go again. Which is kinda ironic, cause I played League of Legends for like 8 years and it's kinda the same, but you know, League of Legends is at least more active with... You have... Why am I trying to defend League of Legends? What I'm trying to say is that League of Legends made you more engaged and anticipated in a way, I guess, because there was an enemy you actually had to look for all the time instead of just a robot that you could just spam on. But yeah, it's also probably because I was only in the noob zone, but whatever. Also, League of Legends was fun because I played it with friends, and every time I played an MMORPG, I did it all alone, so I guess that's also a reason why I didn't have fun with it before. I also remember signing up for the open beta for Wildstars, if you remember that MMO. I then downloaded it, and I couldn't connect to the server. I don't know why, so I never touched it again, and it's not even here anymore. But anyways, after playing Blade & Soul, I found out that I just didn't like the combat of MMORPGs as mentioned. So I started looking for games that had another approach to the combat system around 2017. And that's how I first heard of Phantasy Star Online 2. I loved it so much, the whole aesthetic, the combat, and I found out it was made by Sega, which was pretty cool. But I found out it wasn't released outside of Japan and that I had to play on a private server. But back then I didn't understand what a private server was, so with my experience with Blade & Soul as well, I just got kinda annoyed by it, so I forgot about it and just looked for another game. Which then led me to Black Desert Online, a Korean MMO with a very unique and active combat. And it's really pretty as well. It wasn't free, but it wasn't subscription based, so I asked my parents for it, got it, and I had to spend 40 hours on downloading it. I wanted to play it so much that I asked one of my other friends if I could download it at his place, since it will take like 10 hours at his place because he had way better internet. So people just hang out while I was downloading the game at his place, and when it was done, I really fell in love with the combat. I started out as a striker class because it was the newest one. I might actually be wrong because I feel like the striker class wasn't out at that time, but I just remember seeing it on the login screen and choosing it and really liking it. And then I played up to level 10-15 and then quit. You're probably asking why. Because it was kinda boring playing it all alone. Even though the combat was awesome, there was no fun in playing an online game alone, sadly. I wasn't socializing very much in the game either, so yeah. I got really annoyed at all of the notifications on the screen too. Cause oh my god dude, that's so much on the screen. And after that I had a real long port from MMORPGs. Phantasy Star Online 2 made its return globally, and I was hyped. I was so hyped about this game that I had an inside joke with my friend group at that time that I always asked them if they'd heard about Phantasy Star Online 2. The Japanese MMO from 2012 released for Japan only, now releasing globally in June 6th, 2020. I cannot remember when I heard about that it came out globally. I think it was early 2020, I'm not sure. But as I waited and waited, it finally arrived, and I played New Genesis on release date instead of Phantasy Star Online 2. And it was ass. Well, because there was a lot of issues at launch. A lot of lag. Some people couldn't even download or get in the game. I think I couldn't in the beginning as well. So I had to download it on Steam. Because I originally downloaded it from Windows Store. But when it was all fixed, I played it non-stop for a week or two. And then, the classic move from this video, I stopped. Because I already reached max level and was already done with the story. I felt truly disappointed with New Genesis. Cause I loved everything about the game. It was so much fun to me that I even had fun playing alone. Cause I would just grow up with people in the game and walk around with them and grind. But what else had the game to offer other than killing monsters and leveling classes? Nothing. Which was truly sad. Cause once again, the combat was awesome and the aesthetic and look of the game is truly beautiful. But it was so empty. And then I tried to play Phantasy Star Online 2 instead, and once again I had this lonely feeling. Also it was hub-based, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. I was a really big fan of New Genesis open world, but I also think that the open world lacks interactions. As I'm writing the script on the 28th October 21, I think that New Genesis still hasn't gotten a new story update, which means we still have that one region from launch. So is this the end of the story? No, cause as I said, I played it back in 2020, and it's 2021, and something changed. In the beginning of 2021, I for the first time played an MMORPG with someone else, my girlfriend. She and I played Terra and it was really fun to finally play with someone. Not only that, but the combat of Terra was pretty neat too. It's an active combat system with the attack looking really cool and impressive, making you feel like a true anime protagonist. Also, the combat system is truly the best part of the game. I was playing as a gunner class and I legit had to aim with my weapon, like genuinely aiming, making the combat more engaging. I think me and my girlfriend played up to level 15 or 20. I'm pretty sure we didn't make it into a dungeon, and we stopped playing after. Why? Because even as the combat is cool and makes you feel cool, the plot was pretty uncool. That was so cheesy, I'm sorry. It was, in my opinion, such a boring story and I didn't feel interested in it. I wasn't invested in the story, which didn't make me invested in the world, which is sad, because that is what I truly love about video games, making them feel like you are being somewhere else as someone else. Just like World of Warcraft failed to do with me. Because I didn't understand English, it's not really World of Warcraft's fault, I'm sorry. Well, that was in the beginning of 2021. Let's go to the summer of 2021. World of Warcraft Ascension. Yup, I went back to World of Warcraft, but this time not alone, with some friends of mine. And that was the second time I had fun with people in an MMORPG. But my experience with them showed me the funniest part of MMOs. Doing dungeons and raids with people. Because you have to remember, I have never tried that. I never made it to that part of playing an MMO, not even alone. I might have done it in New Genesis, but the raids there just feels a bit easier, because it's not really, I don't know, it's so different talking about New Genesis dungeon and raids compared to World of Warcraft. Anyways, the first time I tried doing dungeons and raids with friends, it was good and fun company, and I got addicted and hooked to it. My friends and I leveled up and prepared to Blackrock Depths, which according to my friends and this list I found online, is the biggest dungeon in World of Warcraft. And guys, I have never had so much fun before in an MMO. When we went in and played for 4 to 6 hours, it was a roller coaster of pure fun. I have not tried doing a big dungeon before with friends, and that was funny as hell. Not that the dungeons we did before Blackrock weren't fun, cause all of the other dungeons we did was pretty fun too. But this one was the funniest one we did just because of how chaotic our journey was in there. Especially since I'm so bad at completing quests and dungeons, making us backtrack most of the times in the dungeons, so I could complete my quest to level up with them, cause I will be like 2 to 5 levels behind, and that made us not do Blackrock Depths for like a week, I think, because we wouldn't play that much. Then after the summer, one of my friends started playing Final Fantasy XIV, and I noticed, and gave it a try. I started on the 4th of September. It's now October 28th as I'm writing this, and I'm in Stormblood post-game, the second expansion out of 3 expansions that are out now. And I have even pre-ordered Endwalker, the next expansion that is coming out soon. I have now truly become an MMORPG gamer, and I'm real happy about it. Final Fantasy XIV is probably the most funniest online game I have ever played. A lot of people in the game are really nice and welcoming to new players. I have only had some few bad experiences, with people being a bit of a douchebag. But hey, it's the internet, there's always someone ruining the fun. But I'm truly hooked on MMO games through Final Fantasy XIV. There will hopefully be a video out later this week or next week where I talk about my Final Fantasy XIV experience and journey. So I won't be talking much about Final Fantasy XIV since I will be having a video dedicated to it. And that's the end of the video. I've actually been playing a bit more MMORPGs. I tried Albion and Guild Wars 2, and I tried the beta for New Worlds, but they didn't quite catch me, perhaps Albion, cause I actually kind of find that funny. But yeah, that's it. I'm still trying to expand my MMORPG experience, but I will mainly focus on Final Fantasy XIV, and that will be the main focus of this channel, a bit more other than this series called Finally I Played, which you are watching right now. So make sure to check the other 2 Finally I Played videos that are out now. Like the video if you liked it, make a comment cause you are awesome, and if you like what you see on my channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell button, cause I can't speak and pronounce anything, but you will get a notification you will get a notification you will get a notification if you press the notification button when I upload videos. Yep, okay, goodbye.